You'll be hearing that a lot. Get used to hearing that 58 times in total this coming Saturday, because of course it's that time of year once again, the Royal Rumble 2024. Of course, it's match card and predictions time. Myself and NXT in the hot seat. Who will be in the main event of WrestleMania 40? That is the big question. Of course, we've got two other matches we'll be talking about as well. So without further ado, if you are not aware of the match card, I've got some good news for you. Let's go for it quickly for you right now. So there we go. Royal Rumble 2024 NXT. Let's not waste any time getting you straight into it. Your excitement levels for the Royal Rumble this year.
Dude, my favorite pay-per-view of the year. How can I not be a 10 for excitement, man? It's the road to WrestleMania has officially begun. There's a lot of, man, it's just been a crazy day in general for WWE. So yeah, man, I'm like super excited. Like the weekly content is getting really good, and it's like, man, it actually feels like wrestling's starting to get really good again.
It's an exciting period. Like you say, I feel like Sean Spears over here. Our Ty Dillinger, it's a perfect 10 from me as well. Honestly, how can you not be excited for the Royal Rumble? Just like yourself, my favorite PLE of the calendar year. It is never not exciting. It's always fun to watch old Royal Rumbles on the build to this show as well, just to get yourself hyped for it as well. And it's easy to see our chat is already busy at this early stage. So shout out to everyone that is in-house as well. So Marcel, good to see. Hope you are doing well. Shout out to Pierre as well. And how's Bama Chatter in-house as well. Hope you are doing well, Dave. And of course, we've got Temple Place in-house as well. So good evening to you all. Before we go to other comments and start off with our predictions, just want to quickly get to, well, your predicted most excited match. I'm guessing it's a Royal Rumble match. It would be silly if it wasn't, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it always has to be the Royal Rumble match. I think with the men's one as well, especially like because Punk still is yet to have a televised match back, and I think the Rumble will obviously be his first actual televised thing. And then obviously with the ladies one, like if we get, for instance, Jade Cargill finally makes an appearance, and yeah, there's a lot of excitement coming into this weekend, and they've done the most important thing, which I love, is they haven't given away every single participant who's going to be in the Rumble, which is like the best thing about it. So, like, when you showed the graphic a minute ago, there's like, what, 4 women announced. So it's like, yes, there's 26 surprises. Do you know what I mean? It makes the Rumble so much better.
It is indeed. I can reveal there are a few names that have been revealed for the Rumble that are not in those graphics. So we will go through those extra names that have been given. But like you say, there's not many more that have been given. It's not like a year where we've got 28 names confirmed. Maybe by SmackDown, we might know that. But at this stage, we know about maximum about 8 or 9 for the men, and we know about 6 for the women. So it's going to be exciting to see. Temple Play is getting straight in the action, by the way, saying that with 2K24 being the phrase, finish your story, I think Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble. Getting nice and early, and Bama Chattergan wins the chamber. Either way, finish your story. It seems like it could be the way to go, and it could be the most unpredictable men's Rumble in years. Eric coming nice and early with a question as well. We'll take that question before we go into our first match. Eric says, what NXT talents do you see being in the Rumble? And he sees quite a host of them, to be fair. Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, Trick Williams, and for the women, sees Roxanne, JC, and perhaps maybe Tiffany and Gigi Dolan. So quite a few names there. NXT talents, do you see those particular ones or any other ones that stand out to you that could be featured in the Royal Rumble this weekend?
Trick Williams, I think, is probably the biggest shout at the minute. He's so over in NXT. His music alone is just one thing for the crowd to get gassed over. I think Braun's a good shout. Hopefully, at some point, he may be coming up to the main roster as well, although he is doing a story with Baron Corbin. As for the ladies' side, I don't know. There is a load of talent on there. I don't know. Hopefully, there is. I imagine there's going to be 1 or 2. I can't imagine there's going to be a lot more than maybe, I'd say 3 each tops. I mean, in the men's one, I'm maybe expecting 1 if we're lucky enough, because there is a lot of guys on the main roster.
There was a lot, they said. And to be fair, I mean, I did the shorts just a couple of days ago for the men's and women's Rumbles, predicting the 30 participants. So 60 seconds, you see everyone who I think is going to be in it. And I mean, to be fair, like looking at it, I was going, it's particularly the women's, because other Rumbles, you've seen the women's Rumble, like we rely on getting a lot of the outsiders in, the legends, the NXT call-ups, and this year, actually, the roster's pretty stacked. There's not a lot of space in there. And I was thinking with returns as well, it does make it quite difficult. But if I had to go, and I will go and say that I think Erica's nailed most of the picks here, but I think Bron and Mello seem perhaps most likely for me in the men. I'd love to see Trick, but Booker's got to be on commentary. I think Roxanne and Tiffany probably most likely there for the women, but keep an eye out for Laya, Valkyria as well. NXT champions have been featured in Rumbles in the past. Andrade El Idolo, of course, or Cien Almas back in the day, was an NXT champion when he was involved in the Royal Rumble match. And I believe last year, Roxanne Perez was NXT Women's Champion at the time when she entered the Royal Rumble match. We've got several places. R-Truth should steal Priest's Money in the Bank briefcase and enter the Rumble and cash in the briefcase in the Rumble. That'd be hilarious to see. Certainly be creative. I'm not against that at this point, to be fair. Could be a reason that actually Priest could be eliminated as well. So I like the shout there for that one. Master says, I hope for a Cody win, but think it will be Punk. So people getting their predictions in nice and early, which is good to see. Keep them coming. Keep us busy. Of course, it's going to be a fun ride as we go through the Royal Rumble predictions here. And Noob & Co. in-house as well. Hope you are doing well. So without further ado, let's not waste any time. A phrase I see too often on these videos, but we're going to get in with our first match then of the show. It's going to be the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match, a fatal four-way: Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton versus LA Knight, versus AJ Styles. Now, what a four-way we have got here on our hands for the undisputed Universal Championship. Now, first off, Roman Reigns, of course, Universal Champion, that he's been there now for the fourth longest reign now at this point. He's just overtaken somebody else in the ladder, and of course, if he wants it for another 6 months, he takes over Hogan as well. So it could still be a while to go with Reigns. We'll see how it goes. But when you look at this here, he hasn't got to be involved in the decision. This is a great way to get the title off of him. If you wanted to go a different direction for WrestleMania, hypothetically, Roman versus Rock without a title. You could also do, I don't know, for example, someone want to finish a story with Randy Orton. Who knows? But at the same time, Randy Orton was the one that came back at Survivor Series. He then signed with SmackDown. He was the one that was obviously going after the Bloodline. It felt like he was going to be the natural number one contender. But of course, simmering in the background, LA Knight had an opportunity. Of course, was cost, though, by the Bloodline at Crown Jewel. So he wanted another crack himself. AJ Styles, of course, was someone who was having issues with the Bloodline, but was written off of TV. Well, he was injured, if you want. I've gone legit. We'll go kayfabe for just everybody watching. Was taken out by the Bloodline with Solo and Jimmy Uso. And of course, then was come back. He wants Roman as well. And of course, there was a triple threat match to determine the number one contender at New Year's Revolution at the start of the year. And of course, the Bloodline did the most stupid thing possible. They made sure there was no winner. So Nick Aldis, being the clever GM that he is, and I love Nick Aldis as GM, I'm going to say that now, has made this a fatal four-way. And when Roman refused to sign the contract, he said, great, we'll have a triple threat match then for the vacant championship. So Roman's being put in his place, which is something we've not seen a lot in WWE over the last few years. Adam Pearce, take notes. Although Pearce is a pretty decent GM, Nick Aldis, though, is definitely head and shoulders above, in my opinion. But this makes this a really spicy appetite. And if we look at SmackDown at the end of last week, Roman had signed a contract, of course, sort of jokingly didn't throw it near Nick Aldis, then went to go and give a spear to Roman Reigns after actually already putting LA Knight and AJ Styles down, went into an RKO, and of course then when he actually opened his eyes, he looked to the contract, and there was something that Roman seemed pretty alarmed about. I'm assuming it's just the simple, he hasn't got to be pinned to lose the championship. I can't see what else they'll do with it, but maybe the Bloodline are barred from ringside because they're involved in a lot of the matches. What do you reckon that stipulation is? What do you reckon of the build? And it's an exciting time, I think, for this one.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't get at some point Nick Aldis versus Roman Reigns, I'm going to feel like we've been robbed of a potential great sort of storyline, power-hungry GM kind of feud there. But do you know what? I've really enjoyed it. It's like I've been dying for a fatal four-way or something to do with Roman Reigns. Like, I can't remember, aside from his Mania match with Edge and Bryan, where he's ever had to come up against multiple opponents. Although that does make me worried that the fact that Roman Reigns may stack and pin 3 guys just to prove a point that he is the most dominant guy in WWE. And imagine being LA Knight, Randy Orton, and AJ, the 3. It was bad enough it was Daniel Bryan and Edge. My God, it would just, I think, like they're trying to cement him as some sort of almighty wrestling god at this point if he was to do that. But yeah, dude, man, I'm excited for it. It's, like I said, it's just in general, the fact that it's a fatal four-way, and it's always going to give you that slight thing that maybe Roman may actually lose this match for once instead of, being the most dominant force in professional wrestling or just cheating to win. I mean, personally, I'd like to see Roman win clean without any interference, which is, I'm hoping, what something to do with the stipulation is, because I think that will add more credibility for whoever's going to face Roman at Mania, whether it be, I don't know, Cody, whether it be Rock, I don't know at this point. But yeah, I'm just hoping that he gets a clean win over it. Like, I'm going to give away my prediction early, man. Roman Reigns is winning, man. He's going to Mania. I'm afraid that he may even go past Mania and stay as champion. That's what I'm really worried about.
I mean, that's the thing. No one really finished the story at all if Roman Reigns keeps that title till September to break the next record. But you mentioned something very interesting there, stacking everybody. I didn't really consider that. And my goodness, if that happens, I mean, the dominance that Roman has, I mean, just think whoever pins Roman when that day does come, the stardom that would be made, especially after a moment like that. The way I look at this, I kind of look at it similar to you. And I'm going to go into a prediction early as well with this one, because I don't see it going anything different. I know there is an exciting element here of Roman potentially losing a championship without being involved in the decision. That's exciting. That's something that plays into this and goes, well, there's a chance Roman could lose. However, if Roman loses in that environment, for me, it just doesn't feel right. He's been champion that long. His shoulders need to be pinned to the mat. That's the only way this makes sense for me. So looking at that here, again, the Royal Rumble, it's a credible pay-per-view, but it's held it that long at this point. You'd think WrestleMania is around the corner. That's the place to make your moment. So I just think Roman Reigns is going to retain here. And the thing for me is this match, I think, was originally scheduled to be Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. And the fact they've had the other two here makes me think that maybe they're saving Reigns versus Orton in the singles match for another day. Someone else here could take the pinfall, and I think that way you can move on. You can even move on at the other superstars not involved in this pinfall to actually get another championship opportunity at a later date. So for me, I'm going to say Roman retains. I think he pins LA Knight.
Yeah, I'd go the same as well. I think that's then the precipice for LA Knight to move on to possibly Logan Paul if Logan Paul still retains and goes on to Mania with the United States Championship. He, it's like I'm sitting there saying that I hope he wins clean, but you never know, man. There is certain free agents out there that, who's not to say that none of the bloodline can be there, but he brings someone else in that isn't part of the bloodline and technically can still get a win, but yeah, you said it with the fact that the risk factors there that he doesn't have to be pinned to lose this championship. It just adds to it so much more. But it's Roman Reigns, dude, and he never loses. This is the problem. Like we say this every month when we get to a match when he's on the card, and it's like, yep, Roman Reigns wins, lol. And like at this point, I'm starting to think when we start getting to that point where he's on John Cena's level of John Cena wins, lol. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I said, I think Roman will retain. I think if this guy's going to lose, he isn't going to lose until Mania. And the bloodline has to implode before he even loses as well, because there has to be no chance that any outside interference is going to help him retain that title.
Some great points you make there, to be fair, and it's going to be interesting. Roman wins, lol. Let's see if the comments say the same. Pierre here. We're trying to keep this to the match, and then we'll go to some of the other comments that have come in as well, because you can imagine a bit of variety involved here. Pierre says Roman retains. We've also got here. There's no way that. No way that he's been treated. I don't know what that is there. We'll come back to that point. I think that it could be to do with the stacking part here. It's funny to think that now Edge and Bryan are both in AEW and Roman's still here in WWE. Here we are with Bama then. Roman retains. When he loses his title, it'll be clean by pin or submission, and the next big star in the company might be a WrestleMania 40, might be not. Noob doesn't want the Roman stack, he says, and pinned all three guys at the Royal Rumble, but he is going for Roman Reigns. We do realize that Roman's run as days has actually held the Universal title and not the WWE title, 660 days with the WWE title, not the Universal title. They combined at this point. But yeah, you make the point. It is the Universal Championship that's been held that long. However, both are unified at this point. But of course, 660 days as WWE champion, not too shabby, let's be fair. Yes, stack them all, says Bama. Maybe a Royal Rumble match, just stack all 29 men at this point. Maybe that's what could happen going forward. That's the only way you can overdo it. But let's go to some high comments as well, because we've got some variety comments that have come flying in as well. We've got mention of Kevin Patrick no longer commentating, so it means he's in the Rumble.
Well, I texted Steve earlier and I said that, hopefully, possibly, fingers crossed, we get a return in Mauro Ranallo, because I would be super excited for him to be on the SmackDown commentary team.
I would love that so much. I was a massive fan of Mara back. I think Vic Joseph is going to come up. I think it's his time. I think he's paid his dues in NXT. I think he's done an incredible job in NXT. When he came to Raw a few years ago, I think it was 2019, but it was too soon. I think the commentary trio we had at the time didn't really connect as with Jerry Lawler, and he had of course I think it was Don Madden, whoever Mace is. We all remember Mace now for the Maximum Male Models, I must say. Yeah, I think now if he was to come out with Corey Graves, I think it would be a much more natural feel on that commentary table. But I think for Kevin Patrick, whatever he does next, obviously he'll still be a part of the WWE team. I hope he's still part of the kickoff panels. I think he does a great job with that and with the backstage stuff. I think he's good with that.
He also does commentary for the MLS games. So, do you know what I mean? It's not like he's out of work. So, do you know what I mean? He does other things. Like a lot of these commentators and stuff do work elsewhere. But yeah, Kevin Patrick does commentary for the MLS.
Absolutely, indeed. He does a great job on that as well. Wesley and House, hope you're doing well. Wesley says, "Do we think you see the return of Carmella?" I do not long given birth, so I don't think we'll see her. Nor will I think we'll see Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, if you're going to pick one or the other, I think it's more likely to be Bliss than it is Carmella.
Interesting, time will tell. Eric says, I have Punk and Bayley winning the Rumble matches there. And Pierre hopes for a reunion of Toxic Attraction with Gigi, Jason, and Mandy on the Women's Rumble match there. So, hey, stranger things have happened. I like this from Temple Place, from Mrs. Temple here. A double Royal Rumble winner, similar to the Bret Hart and Lex Luger in 1994. It's the 30-year anniversary of that as well. Thoughts on her prediction? I actually think it's quite a fun prediction because we've not seen it for 30 years. I think many generations of fans probably unaware of that because, let's be fair, is it always interesting to go and watch stuff that old on the network? I'm not sure with some people, but the younger fans. But I think it could be quite an interesting idea if they want to visit that. But of course, they did kind of do something like that in 2005. Of course, it wasn't meant to happen in 2005 when Cena and Batista both went over the top rope, and that led to someone breaking both of his quads. So yeah, I mean, and they restarted the match at that point. So would a restart happen? What happened if this happened in 2024?
Do you know what? I think they'd leave it on a cliffhanger, and they would drag it into a storyline. I think that would make more sense because what's gonna be much more of a talking point, the fact that Cody and Punk would then have to have another match straight after, and everyone would just be like, "Oh, this is essence of Cena Batista." Or if we just leave it on a cliffhanger where they're both declared winners, and then you have to go to Monday Night Raw to find out what's going to happen, what the decision's going to be. I think that's a much more interesting dynamic.
It's 1994 all over again, Temple. We like it. We like it a lot. Will it happen, though? That's the big question here. Pierre loves Nick Aldis as GM2. And Wesley, I missed this comment earlier, but here we go. What about the OC helping AJ Styles to win the Undisputed Universal Championship? Because ultimately, they have said they still have AJ's back, even though AJ doesn't seem so keen on, well, them having his back at this point. But hey, it's a possibility. Don't rule it out. Maybe the OC, though, get bored of not wanting AJ Styles, and maybe they cost him. They could play a role in this match.
Yeah, I thought Gallows was still injured, though. I didn't know if he was returned or not yet.
Gallows was on SmackDown last week, so he is back. But whether he can get in ring or not, that's a different question.
Gotcha.
But so
okay. It is a possibility, but like I said, it's Roman Reigns, man. Anyone bets against Roman Reigns is brave, and obviously has money to burn.
Absolutely, indeed. There and Temple there, given the stats there of the championships at this exact moment. And PS says, I would love to see LA Knight versus Logan Paul at Mania and let LA Knight be a fighting US champion. I think that's the way they're going to go. I think we predicted that on the channel for quite a while now, and we hope that is going to be the direction. We'll see if it happens after the Rumble. It does lead to one last question, actually, involving we expect Roman to win. Do we expect the other three superstars that lose to feature in the Royal Rumble match?
I mean, it's a high possibility. I don't know. I'd like to think that they give three other stars an opportunity. Like the fact that they're all in a world title match on the card. I think that like we've seen it done before where people are in title matches and then they pop up in the Rumble later on. But then if you're going to go by that logic, surely Roman and Rollins should be in the Rumble as well then, because what's to stop them from competing in it to go for the other title? Do you know what I mean? Like my wife was saying to me yesterday, she was like, "Oh, I was going to watch the Rumble with you, but Rhea's not going to be in it." And I was like, "Well, no, she's champion, so I very much doubt she's going to be in the Rumble match." So no.
That's always the thing. Unless they wanted the other title, like you say, but let's not give Roman any ideas at this point. I don't think that's a good thing. But
Triple Crown?
well, you know, you don't want to copy AEW ideas. The X universe would hate that. But Roman will never drop the title, says Eric there. And Bama wants Pat McAfee in the on the commentary desk to be with Corey Grace. That could be a good shout.
I was just thinking that I'm going back to Roman losing. I was thinking if they're going to have Roman lose, I think Roman's got to pass out, dude. I think he's got to lose by like stone cold, but like, he's going to get busted open, and he's just got to bleed out, and that's how Roman loses. Like because I think that's how you can still book him strong. Well, mind you, it might take away from the winner slightly, but yeah, that's just me personally. I would like just to try and keep Roman strong in a loss.
It's certainly an interesting way to do it. It's certainly an interesting way. I mean, obviously, it can lead to a rematch, and that's where you could build someone even further.
Yeah,
could be fun. Pierre actually suggesting who would actually replace Vic Joseph. They've had people do that on NXT that have been doing like Level Up and places like that. So, I mean, I forget the name of the person that usually replaces Vic Joseph on NXT, but if that would probably be the person that probably will be there. Very bad answer to a very good question, but I think that NXT is on the Google for me at this moment. But suggesting as well Vic Joseph, Corey Grace, and Pat McAfee on Friday, that would be awesome. And if they can't get Mara Manolo, Jerry Borash instead. It wouldn't be a bad shout either, to be fair. We don't mind a bit of Borash. Bama says the narrative that Roman has been dominant has been designed to get him heat. Bruno Hogan back than the Pedro, defending the titles hundreds of times, not dozens. It's just dominant, just protected. There we are, Bama giving it to us there. Joe in the house as well. Joey's got his Rumble predictions up already in the shorts form. Hope you're doing well, Joe. Says, do we think The Rock will show up in the Rumble? Of course, I did put him on the thumbnail. It's something we're going to discuss later in the video. But, well, I suppose we could answer it now. We're doing a one-word answer. Do we think The Rock will actually show up in the Rumble?
I think with what's come out today, I think there's an even greater possibility that he may show up. Whether he's in the Rumble match or not, I don't know. I don't think he needs to be. But like I said, after today, anything's possible now.
Anything is possible. All I'll say at this point, I put in the 30 no, which I did on my short of who I think will be in the men's Rumble. However, if he appears in it, he's winning it.
Yeah, I think then that's just the good thing about the Rumble this year. There's a possibility of 3, maybe even 4 potential winners, and I think that's what makes it really exciting. So yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he could win, but I don't know. You know, Cody's still got to finish this story, and like the guy's just been made the cover star of the video game, and they're kind of setting that up there with him being the cover star and everything.
It's all there. It's all in the works there. PS doesn't think The Rock will show up in the Rumble match. Do we see Rock and Roman as a close segment with a stare down there? That would be interesting as well there. I mean, Rock did mention head of the table and X again, though, today. So there are the teasers still in there. It's going to happen. It's when, not if, at this point, I feel.
Yeah, it's just a case of when they're planning on doing the match, because I think that's what they're just going to do until we get that point. Is just constantly tease it. With The Rock, is just have him show up, talk about being the head of the table, and then disappear. And I mean, at some point, I think it's gonna maybe even like the story arc where Roman's just gonna get sick and tired of The Rock saying it and confront him, and maybe that's the arc that they go with. But I don't know. Just like I said, this all depends on when they're going to do that match. Unfortunately.
Does seem at this point. And we've got last comment then, because then we've gone through all of them there. Bam says, if this match is the main event, then it won't be in the Rumble. That's true. Roman usually main events. So last year, the Rumble match for the men opened the show. So if they do that, of course, none of them will be involved. And of course, it will be interesting how they would play it out. Joe, with a final comment, then we'll move on to our next match, because we've got one match to talk about. Then we can just do all Royal Rumble. All of it can be Royal Rumble for the now to the finish. Joe says, I think The Rock could interfere in Roman's match. Of course, Roman wins. The Rock comes out, and then we see the little words, beats up Roman, and we see you at WrestleMania. Loving it.
What about special guest referee Rock?
It sounds like a video game come to life, doesn't it? And of course, Roman Rock Night 1, Cody Roman Night 2. I found out
the level up commentator is Blake Chadwick.
There we are. Thank you. There we go. I don't know if that is the person or not, but Blake Chadwick is not is what we're going to go with. So there we are. He'll be the one to replace. Good luck to him, because he'll have Booker. Bama says, do you think The Rock will be involved in the Bloodline story side of the storyline? But he will be added pressure to Roman to prove he's truly head of the table. When Roman loses, Rock will challenge him. Interesting. PS says, are we not going to talk about Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens? We are. We were just going through the comments, and now, well, officially, I can tell you we're going to do it right now. For the United States Championship, Logan Paul will take on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, someone who has gone through a tournament, an 8-man tournament, to become the #1 contender for the US Championship. Of course, defeating Santos Escobar in the final on New Year's Revolution. Of course, also beating the likes of Carmelo Hayes and was it Grayson Waller? Or was it Austin Theory? It's one of the other in the opening round. So Kevin Owens had quite a good run to get to this opportunity. Of course, then Logan Paul did confront Kevin Owens, but of course, Kevin Owens has been wearing a bit of a protective hand cast of recent. And of course, Logan Paul was someone that's got a metal plate in his hand, but KO decided to KO Logan Paul. Logan Paul not really too happy about that and said that if KO wears that during the Rumble match, pretty much that they pretty much put a lawsuit on him. So KO, what's he going to do? Is he going to wear it? Is he not? Will there be a lawsuit?
He's already promised that he's not going to wear it. So, and I think that's probably going to be the reason why Kevin Owens is probably going to lose this match, unfortunately. As much as I hate to say it, I think that's their get out of jail free card for Logan Paul retaining. Because as much as it pains me to say it, I'd love to see KO win this, but Logan Paul is obviously that big social media star that they love to have around because he gets all those extra eyes in. And dude, having him beat KO, going on to Chamber, Mania, having another 2 matches possibly, it's just a great business decision to make. So yeah, I think that forearm, unfortunately, is going to be Kevin Owens' downfall.
I 100% agree. And like you said, it all comes down to business. Logan Paul will enter WrestleMania as United States champion, a championship match at WrestleMania for, well, someone who has that social media following. It tracks more eyes to the prize, doesn't it? And of course, we said earlier in the stream, we think he'll be taking on LA Knight. We kind of gave away the prediction at that point. So there's no point wasting too much time on it, unfortunately. But what we will say is just one little storyline arc. Logan Paul said that it's Kevin Owens' fault that he's here. Of course, that stunner at WrestleMania 37 was what made Logan Paul come back and become a WWE superstar. So we should all blame KO. Don't think I'm blaming KO for that.
It's almost like revenge. It's almost like long time storytelling, maybe. Crazy. Ooh. But yeah, no, it's yeah, man. Like I said, it sucks for me to turn around and say I can see KO lose to Logan Paul, but like I said, I think they've protected themselves with how they're going to get around it. But it's just a business thing, isn't it? Really. And look, hey, it's going to be entertaining as anything. I'm sure it's actually going to be a really, really good match, and I'm actually genuinely looking forward to it because. Logan probably is the best ever celebrity, like outside WWE person they've ever had in ring. So putting him in with someone like Kevin Owens I think it's just going to be a really great match.
Absolutely. I think that answers Bama's question here. Have you ever seen a celebrity embrace wrestling like a fish to water better than Logan Paul has? Truly blown away for how great of a character heel and in ring. To be fair, he is the triple threat. And that's 100%. Why a lot of people don't like him, because he's come in and he's better than 75% of the roster already.
He's won more championships than certain members of the roster. That's even more insane.
Absolutely. Just goes to prove it. Love him or loathe him. He's doing his job. It was Austin Theory that KO beat. Thank you very much there for confirming that, Pierre. Kine in the house. Hope you're doing well. CM Kine. Hope you're keeping well. Of course, he's got some YouTube channel started up as well, which I believe is Turnbuckle Talk Zone. I hope I've got that right, Kine. Do correct me if I've got it wrong. We've got Temple Place. This is, I really want Owens to win, but I have a feeling that Logan's retains with the help of his brother. Could you imagine Jake Paul involved in the WWE?
I wouldn't think that. Don't think they'd go that way just for the fact it makes Logan look stronger if he wins by himself. And I think then whoever beats Logan then makes that person look like a bigger star. So, and plus we've seen Jake Paul throw a shoot or a kayfabe punch, and it was horrific. So I would not bother putting him back in again.
I don't think get the sound right in the time, but the punch was a bit like. No, that's not the right one. Never mind. We'll leave that for now. I'm still getting used to this. Logan Has Logan even defended his belt? No, this is the first time. This is the first time. And the Royal Rumble, it's a big spectacle to do so. But it feels like everyone here is thinking that Logan Paul is going to retain here, going to WrestleMania as champ. Attract more eyes, as Kyan said there. Completely agree. Noob and Co says Logan retains. PS is because LA Knight.
I'm still gutted he hasn't got a custom title yet. I was really hoping, like when he was trying to sell the custom title, and then or even just try and melt it down and make a new one. Do you know what I mean? And just like it's something that you would just think Logan Paul would do, is have a custom US title.
Absolutely. I think the custom US title needs to happen on the road to WrestleMania. I think like from now it's okay. But like when it gets to the nitty gritty, that's when it should really, everyone should be loathing wanting to get that title off of him. Like it's like he needs to be here. We need to take that off of him.
Shout.
And it could be like a real disgrace thing. I think that's the sort of thing to get LA Knight involved there, because like, you know, say he's like grew up with tradition, loving that championship. You know, the story then can start to write itself, which is good. That is the channel there, by the way, for Kyan, by the way. So make sure to go and subscribe to him. He's got a new channel there for us. So do give him some love and support. Eric here says, I would love it if Ava was to join the Bloodline storyline. She's currently doing her work on NXT at present. Temple hating celebrities winning WWE titles. I prefer if they just had one-off matches, but that's just me. Don't get me wrong, Logan's good. So is Bad Bunny. Just aren't my thing. That's fair play. To be fair, it wouldn't usually be my thing either. But the thing is, as I've got a bit older, I don't know, I just kind of look at the business side of it a bit more than the fan side of it when I was younger. I think that's where I feel like, rather than saying it's my thing, because it's not my thing, I'm like Temple, but I suppose, and he would probably say the same, we understand it.
For me, more importantly, is Logan can back it up. It's not like he's a fake champion. Like, he can compete, which is the thing I give most props to. Like, we've seen people like David Arquette be WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and it's like, that's just a complete shambles in itself. But Logan Paul legitimately has wrestling background and can legitimately wrestle, and it's kind of like, do you know what? I'm okay with it because Logan Paul can back it up. Even Bad Bunny to extent, he do you know what I mean? He's not the best, but hey, he hits a Canadian destroyer, and I was like, dude, that won me over already. But then like I said, if he can back it up, then I'm all for it, man.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, I tell you what, you've nailed that. By the way, obviously, when you look at other celebrities from the past and stuff like that, Logan just seems to be head and shoulders. But Bad Bunny as well. The presence of Backlash last year. Hope he comes into the Rumble. But hey, that's a prediction for a different time. But what we'll do is we'll move on in the meantime, because we're up to date with the comments. Let's get into the Royal Rumble season, shall we? We'll start off with the Women's Royal Rumble match. Of course, 30 participants involved. So far, we know Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, Bianca Belair, and Baylay on the graphic. I can confirm as well that Maxxine Dupri and as well Ivy Nile have also been confirmed for the Royal Rumble match at this point. So 6 women have been confirmed. Thank you, Wikipedia. But apparently Maxxine Dupri was actually announced on WWE's YouTube channel, and Ivy was given the mention on Raw with all the training she was doing for the Royal Rumble match before her match with Valhalla. So yeah, that's
if you go by that. Commentary was announcing everyone was going to be in the Rumble, so I wouldn't take it as gospel, because Michael Cole doing Michael Cole things was like, oh yeah, well, Priest is going to be in the Rumble, and it's kind of like, but Priest has the Money in the Bank briefcase, so it's kind of like, I take it with a pinch of salt when it comes to what's announced on there. Unless you see them in the graphic, I wouldn't take it as gospel.
I say, because Priest has been announced for it as well. But yeah, you are right. Yeah. But he's not been announced for this one. It would be weird if he turned up in this one. But the Women's Royal Rumble match anyway. So yeah, like we said, there's like you said, you love this. There's so many spaces available. So I mean, I suppose we should go with there's a lot of the roster we imagine they're going to be featured in this, like you say, but I'm guessing like a Natalya. We're probably looking at Tegan Knox. We've probably got Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, Asuka, Kairi Sane. The list goes on and on for potential ones that we could have in this match here with the roster as we speak in WWE. But I suppose my first big question for you is, who will be the surprise entrance?
It's a good shout for surprise entrance. I mean, for me, Jade Cargill, I think, is the biggest one, because at some point she has to turn up. I just see, for me, like, just a shout out to Pop, promote your video with your 30 YouTubers that guess the winners of the Rumble. I went with Jade Cargill because I think it'd be a fantastic idea to have her come in, win the Rumble, and then just don't even have her wrestle until Mania, and then she wins a title off of Rhea Ripley at Mania. what a dominant way to like carry on the legacy that she had in AEW. The fact that she only ever had one proper match and she wins the world title after going through the Rumble. I'd even have her come in the Rumble and get the most eliminations this year to even assert more dominance. Like I'm not too sure who owns the number of eliminations in the Women's Rumble. I don't for one card, but you could have Jade break that and then have her go on to Mania and win it. Do you know what I mean? That's just me fantasy booking it. But there's this again, another good thing with the Women's Rumble is that there's 3 or 4 potential winners. But as for surprise entrants, hey, Nick Aldis is SmackDown GM. Why not Mickie James? Mickie James, I don't believe is tied up doing anything in a minute, unless she might be tied up with the Knockouts division in TNA still. But hey, why not have Mickie James come back as well?
I believe she's just signed up to a women's division to run a women's division. I want to say it's OVW, but if anyone knows in the comments, let me know.
I think you're right. I think it is OVW. I think it's the one. Is it the one Al Snow's running?
Yeah, I believe so. So. But it would be great to see her. It's a cameo. I think it'd be awesome to see. Obviously, I can see a couple of the comments actually beating me to a couple of these names here. I'm going to bring up noobs here. Trinity, of course, Naomi, I'm expecting to come back as well. Well, you mentioned yesterday on our stream as well, Michelle McCool is in town for the Rumble. Of course, last year she was sitting in the audience and still came over the guardrail to get involved in the Rumble match. So she's been unprepared to be prepared before to get into these Rumble matches. But I think the one other big name that I would mention as a surprise entrance to look out for would be Liv Morgan. I think Liv Morgan is someone's been on the injury list for quite a while. Obviously, to come back in the Rumble, of course, yes, it'd be great to see her go after Rhea, who actually wrote her off for TV. But at the same time, to see her try and get Rhea was the one that stopped her winning last year, going from post to post. They were both number 1 and 2, and they were the final 2 in the match. And of course, Rhea eliminated Liv. If Liv could win the match, then she would get the opportunity against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. And I think that would be a really good storyline to see. However, I don't think that Liv will win the Rumble, but I definitely think she'll be a surprise entrant and in the final 4.
I mean, she might be. I mean, it depends on what they're going to do with Rhea Ripley with Chamber coming up, and like I think the thing is they're going to have Nia Jax do the job and be the heel for a face Rhea in Australia. But I mean, I don't know if you want to plant the seeds for some sort of story for those two going forward. Why not have her in the final 4? Who knows, man? Like I said, there's so many possibilities. This is again the thing that makes the Rumble exciting is it could be a number of people. Like we was watching the 2020 men's Rumble the other day, and it got down to like the final 7 or 8 people, and you were looking there going, look at this list of guys. Aside from maybe Aleister Black, all of the other competitors all had the potential to win the Rumble, and that's what makes it so exciting. So even when it gets to this women's one, man, I feel you're going to get down to the last 7 or 8, and they're all going to be legitimate competitors who could win this women's Royal Rumble match.
Absolutely, indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, there's 2 more names I want to mention, and I want to just go to the chat. Obviously, one I've been quite heavy on in these streams recently has been AJ Lee. I'd love to see her come back. I think this is the perfect time if she was to make a cameo in the Rumble. One fantasy booking idea I have, by the way, Becky Lynch number 1, AJ Lee number 2. CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I get that. My only issue is whether AJ Lee has got the ring rust off, and is because I wouldn't want it to go out straight away. I want it to do at least a decent stint of maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes. So for me, I think if you're going to do AJ, I think AJ Lee has to be like the final entrant. Like have Becky as 29 and then AJ as 30, and do them as the final 2.
Well, if they can get through to number 3, then how about our friend Caitlyn coming back in for a cameo?
Oh, see now, now we've got this whole teaming up situation going again. It could be a good shout. There is there's so many good things they can do with the story this year, and I'm all for it, man. Just getting AJ Lee back, I think, would be the biggest plus of anything.
Absolutely. Well, let's go for it because the comments have got loads of names here. So we're going to go through like yes, no, because otherwise I think we'll be here all day. We could easily do this with Rumble speculation because there is so many names that have come through as well. Kyle, by the way, very happy, by the way, not so many names have been announced for the Rumble either. So he shares our enthusiasm. So let's go through it. Marcel, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. Is it happening, yes or no?
I want to say yes.
I want to say yes as well. And I think, as he says, that number 30. That is, we got asked before, how would you get the big pop for a Royal Rumble from the crowd? If Sasha comes back, that does it.
Absolutely.
I'm not convinced it happens. I'm like a 7 out of 10, but I'm going to say yes because I want to believe it's going to happen.
Dude, if Punk returns to the WWE, I believe Sasha Banks can return to WWE.
Absolutely. Anything. We've seen already. Anything can happen. Anything. Pierre says Jay Cargill. We've said yes. Sasha, we've said yes. Naomi, yes. We've said yes to a lot of these. Liv Morgan, AJ Lee, too. Kind believes the big surprise will be Jade Cargill, which she's been here for a while. We get to be an actual match besides, say, Naomi. Bama says possible returns. Sasha, Mandy Rose. Now, what's your stance on Mandy Rose? Yes or no?
Would love to. Don't know if she ever would though, because I don't think she needs. She doesn't need it. She doesn't need it. Do you know what I mean? She makes enough money as it is. But as much as I'd love it, I would actually like to see her come back.
I'd love to see it. I've got a funny feeling. I think she'd return to wrestling. I don't know if WWE would have her back either. I think that's the tricky part with that one there. Naomi and Jade, Lita. Do you think Lita could come in?
I hope not. I think there's enough women on the roster this year that we don't need. We don't need too many Hall of Famers. So I'd like maybe Trish, because Trish was actually drafted. So I wouldn't necessarily so much say Lita.
Yeah, for me, I'd be more for Trish there because, like you said, that and you can have a face-to-face with Zoe Stark, but not against Lita being in the Rumble. I think we've just seen it a few times already, and of course, there Liv Morgan being a shout as well. There, kind of I think it's Rhea with 20, so she breaks up. Then it's very, very impressive. Oh, that's with most eliminations. Yeah, I think that's most eliminations in all Rumbles. All Rumbles. So in one match, I believe it's Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler with 8. If I watched that video.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. It's Baszler and yeah.
But Rhea does have the streak there with overall. We mentioned there already those names there with Michelle McCool as well. Temple says, when we get to have a perfect angle for the start of the storyline, Temple, hold that full. Bamper says, yes, it is OVW's women's division for Mickie James. So there we go. Pierre again talking about toxic attraction, the idea of that as well. Eric here going Liv Morgan, AJ Lee, Trinity, Julia. I believe she's still tied to New Japan. Oh, not New Japan, sorry, Stardom, just for the time being. But she's apparently could be WWE bound around March time if those rumors are true. Mercedes Moné and Sonya Deville. We talked about Sonya Deville on our live stream last night. Sonya would be a great return if we were to get her.
I would love to see Sonya back. I think that for me, though, that's more of a Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, Sonya Deville storyline, because obviously Sonya and Chelsea were originally tagging before Sonya had all her stuff go down. I don't know if she got injured or if it was to do with her personal stuff, but yeah, I would love to see her come back and them three have like a story going forward.
It would be interesting indeed. Some predictions are starting to come in. Bayley wins the Women's Royal Rumble according to Temple. Kindness says Bayley wins the Rumble, takes on Io, and Rhea versus Becky at Mania, hopefully. So as we've seen that there, we've gone for a lot of surprise entrants. I think, like I said, we could be here all day if we did that. Let's give a prediction then. Do we agree with Bayley, or do you stick with, and this basically stick or twist, because me and you have given a prediction already in a Rumble prediction video that we did at the start of the month. And we both said Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill as obviously would be a surprise entrant if she was to enter. She's not featured in WWE, not been promoted for this. There's a chance she may not show up. Is she still going to be your prediction?
Do you know what? Yeah, why not? I'm going to be crazy and say yeah. But the only reason I'm not going to say Bayley is they haven't done nothing to build Io versus Bayley. Like, so for instance, Bayley wins this come next Friday, or do you know what I mean, between her winning the Rumble Saturday and Raw on Monday, when she's supposed to then go to Raw and challenge Rhea Ripley, which is what her story has been all along, is like Damage Control is going to dominate the women's division. There's no build for Bayley to not challenge Rhea and then go after Io. Do you know what I mean? Unless they throw it all at you this week on SmackDown. But if you know what I mean, it just feels like it's going to be too much too soon. And like I said, there's no build for a Bayley Io storyline. So for me, I can't see Bayley winning it. I'm saying Jade Cargill, but I think Becky's probably going to be the one, because it's going to probably be Rhea Becky at Mania.
So here's the thing. I actually agree with everything you just said, because Bayley was my prediction to begin with. And then we got to January, and then I started having a bit of a thought looking at the WWE storytelling, and this is when I went to Jade Cargill. But if Jade isn't in the match, I agree with you. I think Becky will win it, because the way they played things out on Raw, it made it kind of feel like, well, felt like Becky was the one that couldn't get the job done, and that's like the 50-50 booking switch. But I'm going to stick with Jade Cargill, and here's my reasoning for it. Basically, kind of what you just said in a roundabout way is that if Bayley wins, she says she's going for Rhea Ripley. And it's like, well, no, that's not what we want as a storyline direction. We need things to crumble for Damage Control for there to be the crack. And if things start going wrong for Damage Control, it can start through Bayley because that's how she gets kicked out of the group. She doesn't hold her end of the bargain. It could be a simple thing as well that Oscar and Kairi Sane don't get the women's tag team titles or drop those titles quickly after winning them, perhaps through something about miscommunication with Bayley. Could be a situation then the Io Sky loses that championship accidentally through Bayley, and that's where the cracks really happen, because that's when we get Io versus Bayley, or Bayley needs backup in the likes of, we mentioned already, Naomi and Sasha Banks if they do come back. But my idea then is Jade Cargill, she wins the Rumble, she has a choice of Raw, she has a choice of SmackDown. Who will she go for? I think Bianca Belair is going to win that championship from Io Sky. She's been chasing it, and she's now in the Royal Rumble, which makes me think we could see something for the first time in quite a while. We've not seen this for a long time, actually. The championship changing hands at the show before WrestleMania. It's usually Rumble Mania. That's been WWE's pattern for a lot of the time. The only one I can think of is Elimination Chamber 21, where Bobby Lashley won the championship from The Miz like 8 days later on Raw when Drew McIntyre dropped it. But it's not very common you see that these days. So I think Io will drop the title at Elimination Chamber to Bianca Belair. I think it'll be Bianca versus Jade. I think we've got Becky versus Rhea, and I still think we have Io versus Bayley, but that will be the one that's not for the championship. Now, I think that will disappoint a few people, because I think a lot of people want to see Bayley have her moment where she wins that and then wins a championship in a singles match at a WrestleMania. But I have a feeling you could be right. And there's something that WWE is really hitting home this year as well about the two-time winner. So we've not seen in a Royal Rumble for a long, long time. They're screaming two-time winner. And if it's not Cody Rhodes, it's Becky or Bianca. And I think you could be right by saying Becky could be that one if they're going to do it. Before, I was thought it'd be Becky that would win the Chamber, and I'm still going to stick with that for the predictions here. Yeah, my arm's twisted. Bayley's sliding down the pecking order the more I see WWE TV and storytelling play out with right now. So I'm going to say final prediction Jade Cargill, but if she doesn't show up, then I would say Becky Lynch is the backup.
My one slight problem with that whole thing that you just laid out, which is great, is that Bianca's on this whole undefeated streak thing at Mania. And if you was to have Bianca win that title at Chamber, for example, and then it's Jade versus Bianca at Mania, having Jade lose at a Mania match, don't get me wrong, it's not the first time we've seen someone lose a match at Mania, like, for instance, Cody Rhodes last year, who should have won. But I think if you want to make the bigger star out of what Jade is, you would book Jade to win it. That's my only issue. And if you was going to put Jade versus Bianca, I don't know, that's the feeling I got from Mania last year when Bianca won, and she was holding up, was it her fingers, like two or three matches, whatever she's had at Mania, that she's won. And it's kind of like, I don't know, unless that's a narrative that Bianca's trying to force, I don't know. That might be her own thing. But otherwise, I like the sound of it, man, because then, yeah, you get, you get two black female stars in a main event match for a world title at Mania again. Like, just to play off of what Bianca and Sasha did a couple of years ago. And I think that would be, and again, so it's another great spectacle for WWE to advertise and to push out there and stuff.
Absolutely, and to be fair, I'd have Jade win. That's the whole point for me. You're making a star overnight. She wins the Rumble. She gets a choice of Mania. Everyone's fighting for her. Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are all over it, and obviously she then makes a chance. She wants Bianca. She wants that at WrestleMania. Then she goes to SmackDown, wins that championship on her debut match. I mean, what more can you do to make a star immediately? Yeah. And then she goes out of WrestleMania into to the summer, and then it's her chance to sink or swim. Where does she take it from there? So that's our prediction. And just before we go to the comments, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of them. I want to get quick answers from you on this, if you can. Just not thinking about it. This is like the game. Empty brain. And just the first names that pop to your head. Who will be numbers 1 and 2 for the Women's Rumble?
I would like to say Jade, because I'd like to see Jade go. No, not Jade, because they're not going to beat the same record again. They're going to do Piper Niven and Shayna Baszler.
Okay, fair play. I'm going to stick with Becky and AJ Lee just because I think it's fun. I don't know if don't think it will happen, but that's what I want. I think it'd be really just a fun moment, stare down, go with it from there.
The only reason, like I said, the only reason I wouldn't say Becky is just for the fact that they're not going to have Rhea break the record last year and then have someone do it again the year after. It's the only reason why I wouldn't say it.
Could always be a short match. Who will be number 30?
I'm going to go off your coattails, but I'm going to say AJ Lee.
Interesting. I will go Sasha Banks just because.
Oh yeah, good chat. Yeah, that as well.
Who will be longest in the Rumble?
Jade Cargill. She's going to come in at number 8 and get most elimination. Going to get 9, 10 eliminations and win it.
As I said, she'll be number 1. I'll go with Becky Lynch. So there we go. That's all our predictions there for the Women's Rumble. So let's go through. I'm going to try and find where I was in the comments because let me just tell you, there's a lot of them. So yeah, I should have had this a bit more prepared, really, to be fair. But lots of comments come flying in for the Women's Rumble. Feel free to keep your ones coming in as well. Your predictions, we'll get to them as quick as we can. And like I say as well, make sure to like the video, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. News says, much I'd like to see Mandy Rose or AJ Lee coming back. Let them enjoy their life outside of the ring. Fair play, but cameos do happen at the Rumble, and it's a perfect place to do so. Mandy said on Busted Open, the fans are the only reason I'd come back, and I would definitely want to bring Toxic Attraction to the main roster, says Bama. Well, I've not seen that, but that would be pretty darn awesome.
It's a great faction, man. I'd love to see it on main roster.
Same. Bam also says Melina needs a better time in the ring than she had last time, and hope Maurice cameo to. Now, Maurice is a good shout. Maurice is a really good. Melina's a good shout as well, but Maurice is a good shout because Maurice is usually around. So that's not a lot of work needs to be done to get her in, and that could make that a lot of fun. But also, Melina does deserve to have a bit of a better run than last time. I would agree with that.
Are we talking about Eminem Melina?
Yes.
From what I heard, I thought she had a load of backstage stigma about her, and she wasn't particularly like. This is what I heard, so don't take it as gospel. But hey, why not? But as for Maurice, I don't think Maurice has ever actually been in a Rumble, so yeah, I'm all up for Maurice.
Yeah, I can't remember. Well, she may or may not have been. To be fair, they all roll into one these later years. My good image is with the older Rumbles, unfortunately. But hey, we've got some great comments of a surprise entrance here. I've mentioned Naomi, Sasha, and AJ Lee cameo would be amazing. Tino's in the house. Tino, it's Tino's time, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Tino, saying everyone hit that like button. And what about Candice Michelle?
Like I said, I would like to keep the cameos and the legends coming back to a minimum. And like I said, we've said about 4 or 5 legends, so it's kind of like for the more current fans in attendance, I would stick to the more current roster. It's
certainly the thing is, I certainly agree. I think there's a lot more of the current roster around these days. But if they bring 1 or 2 cameos back, Candice Michelle could be a good shout. And say, Tino, I would say it's outside the box. I've not thought of that one, so I like the sound of that one. I've not seen it anywhere actually. Bama says, "Oh, if Sasha comes out number 30, imagine her and Baylay in the final 2. Baylay eliminates her, and their friendship is the reason Damage Control crumbles as Baylay chooses EO with Sasha's influence." Interesting.
I think that actually makes more sense if Sasha eliminates Baylay. I think that there's more precipice there for that storyline if Sasha eliminates Baylay. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Tina's getting ahead there with Brock and Sheamus potentially for the men's, although I do agree with him. CD in the house as well. C Nation Dog, hope you're doing well. On YouTube, by the way, subscribe to him if you haven't already. Same with Tino's time as well. He'd love to see Dakota take the brace off and enter. Now, that would be a fun way to go in there.
Yeah, like I said, I feel so sorry for Dakota sometimes. She gets so unlucky with injuries and stuff like that, and it kind of ruins her momentum as she gets going. But yeah, I'd love to see her in the Rumble.
Absolutely. And CD says, no homework tonight. Absolutely. You got to love it. That's what we want to see.
Whoop, whoop.
I'll turn off there now. CD says he's excited for both Rumbles as well. It's good to have you on board. Get involved with your predictions, please. Pierre here says that we'll Liv Morgan to win the Rumble match, but she doesn't win. My second choice is Baylay. CD happy that Seth Rollins will be at WrestleMania. I am as well. Great news on that one. Baylay prediction from Noob.
Well. He's going to try and be there for Mania.
Absolutely. Temple, keep an eye out there because, to be fair, I can read his comment actually. I'm going to read it now because I actually I actually agree with him. This is something I was going to mention myself, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. Andrade is a surprise entrant. We've mentioned that before. And siding. Oh, he says siding sides with the LWO. Actually, I had the opposite. I have him actually going with Santos, Angel, and Humberto, unless I've not read all that correctly. But as I think there's one missing on the side there. When Ray comes back, you've got Ray, Carlito, Cruz, and Wild. And then you can have Santos, Andrade, Angel and Alberto. But yeah, I think that'll be awesome. Either way, I think I agree with you. I think that Andrade is getting involved in the Rumble match, and I think he's getting involved with that story, and I think that's the way he comes back in.
My only one thing is that you're not going to have 6 or 7 of them guys in the Rumble match. They're just going to come out with, for example, if Santos is in it, Humberto and Angel are going to be with him. They're not going to be compares, because that just unnecessarily takes up spots for the Rumble.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, what you can do, like, for example, Carlito or Dragon Lee could be the even though Dragon Lee's kind of honorary kind of member there, and that's when you kind of see like Andrade come out and he has to pick his side there and then he just gets involved and says, maybe teases the idea of LWO, then he turns on Carlito and then goes with the heel side, or if Temple gets his way and then he just goes against Santos. It certainly could be a fun way to do it, and he does potentially Andrade versus Santos at Mania. I still feel that we could get Ray versus Santos at Mania, but hey, it's certainly a fun suggestion nonetheless. Bama says Becky has been in every match except an Elimination Chamber match. That's her path to Rhea. I think Baylay wins and picks EO when she overhears them talking about Batista, Hurd, Triple H, and Flair. It could be exactly like that. So WWE would do what TNA do with Alex Shelley and beat Steve Macklin for the Impact World title before the big show. Pretty much. That's kind of what I suggested.
AJ beat Jinder right before Survivor Series one year, and then being AJ versus Brock. He
did. There were many championship changes back in the old days in February. The Rumble wasn't the destination to make Mania, but these days it's more Rumble. It kind of feels more continuity. Your main events immediately, almost from the day after the Rumble. It feels a lot of the time for Mania, which is better advertising, probably, to be fair. I'm sick and tired of Becky winning everything. Give me something new. Fair play to that.
I think that's a good shout for Becky being number 1, because I reckon Becky could go to like the last 4 and then be eliminated. That's a good shout.
Absolutely. The thing is, I just don't think Bayley's going to win, although I would prefer Bayley to win over Becky, if I'm going to be honest there. CD says,
Bayley's got any. I was just saying, I don't think Bayley's got any momentum to win the Rumble. There's no like drive. There's no crowd backing for her to win it, which is why I don't see her winning it.
I think the crowd backing will be there when she's out. I just think that because especially like you see our community, Bayley was the heavy favorite in that video, but at the same time, I just feel that when it comes to the storytelling, it just at the moment doesn't lead to that story arc. But as Bama suggested earlier on, it could fit depending on what they choose to do. Of course, CD saying a new Ivar would beat Chad Gable because of the 50-50 booking, and Akira Tozawa beat Ivar last week. It just makes sense, doesn't it? But we'll be talking about the men's Rumble in a minute. But that was a great match, wasn't it? But hey, let's be fair. Temple getting well ahead of us for now with the men's Rumble. I think we'll go to the men's Rumble in a couple of seconds' time, because I think we've got lots of comments coming in, but we want to make sure we get to the men's Rumble as well. But it says the countdown going in the men's Rumble, entry number 13, and we hear a coin drop, and it's a Carter. What's your reaction? And Steve?
Literally, if you'd have seen our live stream watching the Rumble match yesterday, I think I'm pretty sure I dropped it. I said yes, because apparently the rumor is that Gunther versus Okada at Mania for the IC title, and I'm all about that.
The thing is, the more and more you see it, the rumor mill suggesting WWE is more likely. I thought it'd be AEW, but apparently, and this is something I read. I've not got a good source for it, but I read it, and that's the part I remember.
Was it on Reddit?
No, I don't go on Reddit. But apparently, he's always dreamed of being at a WrestleMania. Didn't know that. So if that's true,
the biggest thing to what do you call it? Wrestle Kingdom, isn't it? There's like the biggest thing after it or before it, or however you want to compare them.
Absolutely. CD does not want Jade Cargill to win the Royal Rumble. We can't just shove her down our throats, build her up. So CD would not be a fan of that idea. Bayley has to win. Roger has no interest in Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. Would be a toilet break for Roger. Fair play. It's each to their own. Pierre, and she also wants to go with Becky and AJ for number 1 and number 2. Liv for number 30, says Eric. Good shout for it. It'd be a good place for it. Sasha Banks, number 30 as well. Kynes is going to be a long toilet break for they'll probably get 20 minutes for sure. Pierre suggests the Iron Woman to beat Jade Cargill. And Temple, what a great suggestion there. Bianca and Becky being 1 and 2 for the Rumble. I think they could be good as well with the 2-time winner thing. I like that suggestion a lot there. For the men's, getting ahead of us there with Gunther and Chad Gable. 1 and 2, Maxxine Dupri and Chelsea Green. And number 30 being Liv Morgan. Kyan says, give me Kelly Kelly at the Royal Rumble as a legend cameo. She's there almost every year. So I think that that one could be a safe bet.
But she's so good, they named her twice.
That's exactly the case. Only 4 matches, but I am great with that as this is the Royal Rumble. Temple says number 30 will either be Naomi or Sasha Banks in the men's Rumble. Randy Orton, as I see, Styles and Elena in the Rumble too. Fair enough. Roger says, don't understand why they signed Jade Cargill. Needs a lot of work about. Well, she's been doing work behind the scenes in the PC. They said they've been getting her ready. I think when she does come on the screens, she will be ready. I don't have any fears in that. Longest in the Rumbles will be Gunther and Bianca. Also, Temple, we mentioned about Jeremy Borash. Should be fun with that idea. Tino says, do you have the sound effect machine now? Pretty much, yes, Tino. It is going to be annoying you for every stream going forward. Zane says, I think that Mercedes Moné will sign with AEW. And apparently last night, Seth should have been interrupted by Judgment Day and attacking Damian should have cashed in and won. Carries the belt onwards. Keep it on Seth. Hope he's available for Punk versus Seth. It would have been a good way to have done it. I guess Seth was that hurt that he perhaps did want to protect Seth. And it looks like that match hopefully still on for WrestleMania.
If Seth wasn't going to make it, that's what would have happened last night. If Seth wasn't going to be available for Mania, they would have had Priest cash in last night, and they didn't do it. So I can categorically tell you that Seth will be ready for Mania.
It looks like it indeed, doesn't it? We've got Khan. Hi from Toronto. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for checking out the stream for your first time. Thank you for getting involved. Share your predictions. We're going to take just a couple more comments of this one. We're going to move on to the men's rumble because I think otherwise, like I said, we could just simply be here all night. And I think that you want to know our men's rumble prediction, I'm sure, as well. I still think Mercedes Moné was signed with AEW, says Zane. I think I may have read that already. Bama says, I think Zelina will announce Andrade's return. That's a way to get revenge. Avenge Rey versus Santos. I don't see him returning without her involved. That's a good shout. Very good shout indeed. And I can't wait to see Io face when Baylay picks her after she wins. So there we go. A lot of people do suggest that as the potential idea. Let's see how it'll be going forward. But I think we should move on in the meantime because, like I say, we need to talk about the men's Royal Rumble as well. So without further ado, 30 men involved. These are the ones we know so far. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Shinsuke Nakamura, Gunther, and Damian Priest are on the graphic, ladies and gentlemen. But I can announce as well that there are a few other names that have been announced for this. Of course, it's basically Alpha Academy, Chad Gable, Otis, and as well as that, Akira Tozawa are all mentioned for the Royal Rumble. So let's not waste any time. We know how this is all going to go. Most unpredictable Rumble ever. Akira Tozawa is going to win it all, surely.
Obviously, man. Like, the guy's obviously been, bulking up with, the Alpha Academy. He's been trying to do German suplexes to Otis to get himself ready to take down Gunther. Obviously, Tozawa's going to win.
Absolutely. I think Tozawa, he'll dance his way to WrestleMania.
Oh God, it's going to be the comedy spot in the Rumble, isn't it? It's going to be like, do you remember when Too Cool were in the Rumble in like 2000, 2001, and they were stopped halfway through to do their dance, and then Rikishi eliminates them both? I've got a feeling we're going to get something similar to that with Otis, Chad Gable, and Tozawa.
Would be quite interesting. I wouldn't be surprised, actually. You mentioned that. It seems quite a good likely shout there, potentially, especially if Otis is involved there. I'd just like to say, I like this comment very quickly. Kelly Kelly is women's wrestler JJ Kotcher. Loving that. That's pin that comment.
Great shout.
Loving the soccer reference there. We've also got a shout of Jamie Oliver being in the men's Royal Rumble. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but for the American viewers, he says pucker a lot, and he's from our necks of the woods. But you probably eat from his restaurant, but I think he'd immediately be thrown over the top rope to the floor.
He's a chef who ruins school dinners for us, so we don't like him over it.
There we go. He likes us to eat healthy food. Ugh. Terrible. Two-time part world champion Seth Rollins will be able to go WrestleMania. There we go. But literally, anyway, we're going to talk about the men's Royal Rumble there. we've mentioned, obviously, those are the names involved. It feels like the most unpredictable Royal Rumble ever. I think that's probably safe to say at this point. A lot of the people that, when we were doing our video before, were saying either Cody or CM Punk. They were the ones that people were most invested in. Drew McIntyre, I think, has got a fascinating story going into the Royal Rumble. I'm really interested in seeing what they do with him in this Rumble. Obviously, Gunther, obviously, longest time in the Rumble as well, potentially could be a fun one as well. This just seemed like an all-star lineup here that they're putting in this Rumble this year, and I think there's some big names that could be coming in as well as surprise entrants.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, there's so many dark horses that you could turn around and say, because obviously a lot of people are going to say Cody, a lot of people are going to say Punk. I'm pretty sure in your predictions video the other day, someone even said MJF, which is like the craziest prediction ever. But like, I'm sitting there and my head is logically trying to like work out who's going to win this. Because you know what I mean? There's so many things, like, we can still have Punk versus Seth at Mania without Punk winning the Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't see how we get Cody versus Roman at Mania without the Rumble win. That's the biggest thing for me. But then, like you said, Drew has got this great story going on where he just seems to be annoyed with everyone. And for me, it's kind of like, what does he do come Mania season? Like, I've got a feeling at some point he's going to be slotted into a match somewhere, or even like maybe even Chamber. But like, I feel he has to have some sort of story somewhere that gives him precipice to have a title shot after Mania or something like that. But even it's like when it comes to surprise entrance, to be fair, apart from like Okada, there's not really, off the top of my head, I can't think of that many surprise entrants except for maybe a couple of the NXT guys I'd like to see. Like, I think you suggested it the other day or yesterday, was Ken Shamrock. Dude, I'd love to see Ken Shamrock come back. I think that would be a fantastic chat, especially for us old school fans. And I believe X-Pac is one that's been rumored to be announced or like has been linked with coming back for the Rumble, which again, I'd love to see, man. Love that X-Pac when I was younger.
A Bronco Buster would be fun to see in 2024, that's for sure. Yeah, Ken Shamrock will be a fun one as a surprise entrance. So these are the surprise entrants. I mean, you just mentioned a couple of things I want to just address from what you said before. I liked the comment you mentioned there about how does Cody get to WrestleMania. The Elimination Chamber is the best place to do it, because last year, to determine the number one contender, I can't remember, I think it was for one of the women's championships. So trying to now use my brain to remember who won last year's Royal Rumble and what championship they were going for. So basically to get Bianca Belair's opponent for WrestleMania was determined in the Elimination Chamber match. Rhea won the Rumble, so she challenged Charlotte Flair. So that was the SmackDown title sorted. The Raw title was Bianca. They had an Elimination Chamber match, 3 women from Raw, 3 women from SmackDown. That's how they got it. So everyone went in the chamber. And if they did that this year, Cody could go in that as part of one of the Raw participants. Drew could join in there as well, because that's why you keep that fresh. And then that way you can get to WrestleMania. Now, that's not suggested giving away my prediction just yet, but that's the way that you could get there. But like you said with Drew, he's making enemies left, right, and center. Judgment Day now being another one there. Obviously, Damian Priest on Raw is not going to be too happy with him. However, his attention may turn to R-Truth. But going into surprise entrance, I think Sami Zayn is someone I think will return in this Royal Rumble. He did compete over the holiday season in WWE, so he's been off TV, but I don't think he's hurt. I think he can come back. So I think the Royal Rumble is probably the place we may see Sami make a return to go for Drew McIntyre, who wrote him off of TV, injured him, but look, I'm going to keep doing the storyline thing, because that's my shtick. As for other surprise entrants, I'm going to go for. And I said I wrote in some big names: Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Sheamus. 3 big dudes. I think immediately you could turn around and say that just adds even more star power to this Rumble.
Yeah, Brock, I can understand. Sheamus, like we discussed this a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was that year, because there's rumors about his contract being up, and I said, if I was him, I'd stay, because I'd want that IC title so bad, because I think it'd just be you'd kick yourself if you end up retiring and never winning it. Braun, for me, like, since he's come back, he's not really done anything. Not his fault, but like, having him in the Rumble is kind of like, there's so many more people that are active on the roster at the minute. Like, unless you've got something planned for him between now and Mania, I don't know, maybe him versus Omos at Mania. and just have a. Like, I'm sure we've seen that before, but do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, what do you do with him, really? Yeah, and like I said, Brock is obviously. There's the rumor going around that it's supposed to be Gunther versus Brock at Mania for the IC title. I think the IC title is such a step down for Brock Lesnar if that's going to be the case. Like, I understand the reason behind it because obviously Gunther's been this dominant champion, but Brock Lesnar, I just can't see Brock Lesnar winning an IC title. It just seems baffling to me.
I see where you're coming from with it. I mean, obviously, Brock could be a reason that Gunther loses that title. Could be costing him a championship, perhaps on the road to WrestleMania. That's how Gunther's reign ends. But also, I mean, like you say, it's a step down for Brock, maybe in a way, but it's a massive step up for that title. Massive step up. That IC title feels like it's like the most legitimate title.
It's very true.
I think Gunther would retain. That's what I genuinely feel like. There isn't a person at the moment who can put Gunther away, and it's a scary proposition. I think you need like Brock to cost him. I mean, Kofi's got the championship shot next week on Raw. I don't think it should be Kofi Kingston defeating Gunther to get that moment. But if there is a moment after the Royal Rumble and the next night on Raw, or the next 2 nights on Raw, Brock Lesnar turns up again, goes, right, I'm going to cost you your championship. There we go, we set up a match for Mania. Brock doesn't turn up for another 6 weeks because he doesn't need to. The match is set in stone. So it could be interesting to see how they would do that. So for me, I do think there's a potential that was a surprise entrance. And of course, we mentioned NXT ones at the start of the video. So for those that have missed those NXT ones that we mentioned, obviously with the women's match and the men's match, you have to rewind to the beginning of the video as with that question in early doors. But I think that's the majority of the surprise entrance that I can see happening. Obviously, Okada was a name we've mentioned as well, potentially could happen, but you know, I know his deal is ending at the end of the month, so I mean, it's a case if WWE can make a deal to get him in earlier if he actually is signed with them.
Yeah, like it's a long shot, but then, dude, man, this is the problem now. Now we've had CM Punk return. It's kind of like, yeah, well, anything's possible now. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it could happen. Never say never. I suppose it makes it really exciting, but then like you kind of have to try and not get your hopes up too much because you don't really want to be disappointed if it doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You don't want it to be disappointing. So this before we get to the comments, because obviously the comments are loads coming in. Thank you so much, everyone that's got the comments in. We are going to go through as many of them as we can, and we try and get them all on in swift fashion. So we get through our part, so we can just focus on you. I think that's the best way to do this. Men's Royal Rumble match. We go through our bits and bobs, and I will start off with the predictions. I think I've given it away already. I do think, we looked at the Raw face-to-face with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it from start to finish. And I think we've had some face-to-faces with others, with Drew, with both of them as well. The Royal Rumble just feels so important this year. And I just love the emphasis that's been put on this match. It's not like, we'll just announce people for the match and just wait till we get there. And then there's the one favorite. It really feels like it matters so much to a lot of people. And I think that's amazing. But I think CM Punk is going to get his way because CM Punk came back to this company. He has agreed terms to come back. And I think he maybe had one or two, let's say, I don't want to say demands, but maybe one or two things he wants to assurances that he would come back. And I think a Royal Rumble win would be one of them. Because if you win the Royal Rumble, you main event at WrestleMania. That's the one thing the guy's never done. Once he's done those two things, he can do all the favors in the world that are needed to be done if he has a quiet couple of years and then can go in the Hall of Fame and retire the way that maybe would be a happy ending for CM Punk's career. I think that with that, he said himself, and Cody's had the adversity. Cody's had like all these, roadblocks on the road on the way to finishing his story. WrestleMania being one of them last year. Cody will find a way to WrestleMania. That I expect. I still expect the Rock match could happen at WrestleMania. I think Roman could do double duty, but I do think that on this night we're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry about CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. That match will be set in stone, and that way you can just worry about Seth getting healthy. So yeah, my prediction: CM Punk.
Yep. I mean, I'm the same as you. I predicted it in your video the other day that CM Punk, like I said, it's a kind of, like you summed it up perfectly. The fact that when he's come back, he's turned around and gone, right, I want this. I want my main event match that I never got. A Rumble win would be nice to add to his accolades of stuff that he's obviously done over the years of being in part of wrestling. It kind of just makes sense. And hell, as much as like they announced today that Cody's obviously the face of the artwork, and it's kind of like, well, how do you make it a bigger deal? And it's kind of, well, why don't you have Cody win the Rumble, and then he goes on to Mania and then he wins at Mania, and obviously the game is due out sometime in March, and it kind of all just falls into place nicely. But Cody's biggest thing has been overcoming obstacles. It's kind of like he lost at Mania. He came back from a torn bicep. He's done all this stuff. So what is a big Rumble loss? And I think the fact that they're emphasizing so much on the fact that it's been like 24 years since the last time someone went back to back with Rumble wins. They are giving people a lot of false hope that he will go on to be the first person to do it in nearly a quarter of a century. But I'm like you, and I don't think he will win because he'll go through Chamber, and it'll be one. It's a selling point because obviously they're going to Australia, and you're gonna have a 6-man elimination match that's gonna have Cody Rhodes in it. It's a great selling point. So I think, yeah, for me, it's they've done really well in building up this false hope that Cody will win. When you've explained it perfectly, that I'm not a big fan of the 3 from Raw, 3 from SmackDown going into the Elimination Chamber, and I much prefer a story. But look, that's the way they can just get around it. But for me, I'm the same as you, and I'm going to say CM Punk wins. And hell, he's even going to have this thing where he's going to have one televised match. He's going to be in the Rumble, and then he's going to go on to Mania against Punk and against Rollins. And depending on what the injury status is of Rollins, whether he'll win or not, that's a completely different question that will have to be asked much closer to Mania time. But yeah, for me, long drawn out answer, but CM Punk's winning.
CM Punk is the one. So let's have a bit of fun. Then we're going to clear our minds, clear and very clear, all clear minds. Who will be on numbers 1 and 2?
I'm going to say Gunther and Chad Gable. Why not? I think Gunther's just going to be a complete tank again and just go the distance for me. I think he's going to be unstoppable this year.
I half agree with you. And number 1, Cody Rhodes, and number 2, Gunther. Last year's final 2 being the first 2 this year. Kind of what they did with 2007, 2008 with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. That's what I expect there. Who will be number 30?
Tom or Nick Mysterio? Number 30, CM Punk. Why not? Just because, try and make him as special as possible for having him in the ring as little time as possible.
I like the sound of that. Now, I did mention this on the surprise entrance. I'm going out on a limb. Health comes first. The show's in Tropicana Field. It's in Tampa, Florida. It's his hometown.
Oh.
I think Big E.
Oh, good shout. Good shout.
Big
I like
E.
the sound of it.
Because, look, he said there's no time frame on his situation, but he said everything's good. If he could come back, why would he tell us? The Rumble would be a perfect place to do it. This would be a perfect spot to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen. Like I said, I want him healthy. I don't want him to be coming back and anything bad to happen. But I think that that would be a really big Rumble pop, and it would be massive if he could come out and have a cameo. And even if it was a one-off, it would be amazing.
I think number 30 is I think that happens much earlier in the night, though, because I think that builds for a New Day Imperium storyline. Something to tide over until Mania. So as much as I like the sound of it, I think if he's going to return, it'll be earlier on in the night, just so we get a Gunther Big E standoff in the middle of the ring. And I'll change my answer. I won't say Punk as 30 because they literally did that last year with Cody. So I'll change it. I want to say Tom or Nick Mysterio. It just makes sense that Dominic Mysterio would be the last one to come in the Rumble.
Dirty Dom getting the dirty number. Who will be the longest of the Rumble? I think you already answered this.
Gunther. The guy's going to dominate again.
Cody Rhodes. I think Gunther will not be as long this year as I think Brock will be the reason why. I think they'll eliminate each other. That'll be my last prediction there. So, absolutely. So, ultimately, that is our picks for the Royal Rumble match. And I will say very quickly, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. And we are going to go through your comments now, and I'm going to set a time of 15 minutes to do so. So let's go through. Pierre, starting off with what is Tozawa doing in this Rumble? He's a jobber. I think you have jobber spots. He'll be there for 20 seconds. That's all he's needed for. Insert joke. Kind says Gunther won't be there. He said at the Royal Rumble Sunday he'll miss it. So I told him it's on Saturday. Michael Cole was screaming it on commentary Saturday. I felt like Elton Johnson was going to break out. To be fair,
because he's old school, man.
He's very old school indeed. Tradition. Zane says, will we hear at number 30 if you smell what The Rock is cooking? I mean, to be fair, if The Rock was involved in the Rumble, that's where he would be. I'm going to say no, but I'm gonna take an idea. Assemble is a fantastic YouTube. He's just hit 100k subscribers, so give him some love if you haven't, and give him congratulations. He does a lot of the gaming stuff for W2K and stuff like that. Suggest an idea on X. Now that The Rock is involved as a producer with TKO or director, whatever the role is, perhaps maybe he could be building for Netflix going forward into the start of 2025. And maybe it's actually Rock and Roman at next year's WrestleMania.
Oh, this year. That's a phenomenal shout. That makes so much more sense. Aren't Netflix doing a documentary on Vince as well?
They are. That's meant to be coming out soon.
Oh man, I'm telling you now. To be fair, just a quick word. WWE going to Netflix is going to save me £10 a month because I will not have to buy the network if it's going to be on Netflix every month. Like once 20.
Raw. It's just Raw now, but give it a couple of years.
Give it a couple of years, yeah. That's it's just going to save me a £10 a month. I'm so thankful for it. Like it's just going to be like having to stay up till 1 o'clock to watch Netflix live is just the most random thing I'm going to have to do on a Monday night now. It's so weird.
It's awesome. See, this is Akira Tozawa is going to be the one to dethrone Roman. Got some money to burn. Long live the turkey twizzlers. Yes, a surprise entrance are true for a comedy segment in the Rumble. We've got Priest, Sami Zayn, Sheamus, Andrade, Rey Mysterio, X-Pac. Of course, we mentioned Andrade earlier in the video. We did not actually mention it on this part here. Rey Mysterio could be a fun return as well. CM Punk winning the Rumble is too predictable. It does feel, in a way, it could be, but in a way, it's not. The thing is, it feels like it's the right thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cody won it.
The point is, though, are you going to have Cody and Punk as final two? That's the biggest thing. Because I don't think you're going to have Cody Punk as final two. I think they have to have someone who's a bigger heel, like that you could Punk could eliminate the last two. I mean, someone that's good, like just going to get booed no matter what. Brock, maybe.
It's hard to say.
But people like Brock now, so it's hard to say. Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, kind of something that's that unpredictable either. It's between Cody or Punk, but I think that's the thing. You can't narrow it down to which 100%. You couldn't say for certain which one it's going to be. We all think it's going to be. We all seem quite confident CM Punk, but CM Punk here will be first match back. My prediction is CM Punk, but is it a guarantee? I mean, I'm not saying gamble responsibly if you do, but I mean, like, I wouldn't put my house on it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put my roof on it.
No, you never would with a Rumble, no.
No, you never would. Cody and Punk for 1 and 2, says Pierre. Wow.
That would
mad. That would be a way to start it off. I want to see LA Knight win the Rumble, says Roger. If he's in it, there's a chance. LA Knight would need to be in the first match or two of the night for that to be possible. I think if he's the main event, obviously it's not going to happen. How are Damage Control allowed to show up on Raw if they were on SmackDown? Adam Pearce invited them to Raw to build up the Royal Rumble this weekend and the women's tag team title match. Your guess is as good as mine. Really, it doesn't make logical sense, really.
Do you know there's one thing we've missed out completely with this Rumble prediction is that Jinder Mahal was doing some dodgy dealings with certain Adam Pearce on Raw. So what if Jinder's got something to do with the Rumble on Saturday?
I think he'll be in it. I mean, we're not even mentioning Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso will be in it. I think that's where we're going to start building him and Jimmy. I think Jimmy's going to cost Jey in the Rumble.
Oh, good shout, yeah.
So
that sounds about right.
It's the hard thing because there are things we could talk about with the Rumble, but it's just, if they're not the winner, it's hard to get into it, and they're not surprised. I think The Rock is going to come out of nowhere and win. Thank you for your prediction there for us, and thank you for joining us as well. Hope you're enjoying the video. PS says, and number 30, Brock Lesnar 2. So I'm saying Brock could do that. PS suggesting, yes, Oscar did win that chamber match. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins and story does not need the title. I prefer Balor versus Priest. I mean, but let's be real. What's the most important story on Raw? I mean, to be fair, Punk versus Rollins is the one that's gonna sell the most buy rates. I think that's arguably the reason why for it. But I mean, Balor versus Priest, I think is a match will happen at Mania, and I think will be a good match when it does go down.
Yeah, I think, let's be honest, the Punk Seth one is all about the main event match and the title. The fact that neither of them have been in a main event match that they're supposed to be in, Seth, I know, obviously cashed in famously, but do you know what I mean? It's something neither of them have done. It's a story that writes itself. As much as you're right, I'd like to see Priest versus Balor for a title. For me, I think Punk versus Seth is just the bigger story. And obviously, with Punk coming back, he's such obviously the controversy that surrounds him everywhere he goes. It kind of makes sense that if anyone's going to win the Rumble, it would be Punk.
Absolutely. I think it, like, for that reason, like you said, though, with those two, they're defining to get that WrestleMania main event. That's why I think it needs the title. I understand why people would say it doesn't need the title, but I think because of that, they've not had that main event. It technically does. And the thing is that to have a world championship match that's not a main event as well, say it was Balor versus Priest, I think would then be like, oh, that's a shame that it didn't main event because of the fact that it was the world title match. You know what I mean? So, but I still think it'll be a great match if it happens, but I think that that's a match that could happen. Tino says, I love it. He's definitely loving something that we've discussed in this Rumble video. Roger says that I'd like to see the 1, 2, 3 kid, not X-Pac. Could you imagine that? Good times.
Yeah, or 6. Was it Sticks or 6, whatever his name was? One of that one as well.
Absolutely.
I had the 3 faces of X-Pac.
Yeah. Done. It's done. Entry number 6 as well. Is Sean Spears coming at number 10? CD says Ronda Rousey won the Rumble in 22. Bianca won the Elimination Chamber in 2022. She was already on Raw. So there are, we've seen this happen. We've seen it happen previously. So that is a potential that it could happen. Cody wins the Chamber, says Marcel. So he does see that as well. In the past 2 decades, WrestleMania's 20 and 30, we've had triple threat main events for the world title. What if Drew and Punk find their way into the match with Seth? And that will help protect Seth. And Priest cashes in. It does make a lot of sense. It could be a way, but I think the biggest story still is Punk versus Seth. But if you want to get around it to protect Seth, I see where he's coming from.
I think if you want to make a bigger heel out of Priest, you have him. Oh, so you're talking about Drew? I thought you were talking about Priest. Yeah, I like the idea of Drew being in it. I'm same as you with it. It just needs to make sense story wise. Like, I get it because obviously Drew hasn't had his main event in front of fans, so it's just a case of how do you has the narrative of getting Drew into that main event is the most important thing, because I don't just want it to be a case of, oh yeah, I've beaten both of you, I deserve to be in the main event, and then they just add into it. But we'll see what they do, man.
We'll see what happens indeed. They're kind here suggesting with more Royal Rumble surprises here. Matt Cardona, I believe he's on the Jericho Cruise at that point, but don't quote me on it. The Boogeyman as well is another fun suggestion there as well.
The Boogeyman's just a bit overrated, man. I prefer it when he has his one pop-up at Halloween, and do you know what I mean? I'd like to leave it at that.
Boogeyman and Tozawa, 1 and 2.
Why not?
Why not? So this is definitely a question that I think you would enjoy here. Who would you see Gunther losing the IC title to? The Miz, Sheamus, Chad Gable, or someone else?
Do you know what? They're 3 great answers. I'd actually be happy with any of them, because obviously Jericho still holds the record, I think, for most IC title runs or title reigns. Sheamus obviously needs that IC title to complete the set, like Pokemon cards, and he's just trying to collect them all. But for me, if I was going to pick one, I'd say Chad Gable, just because the guy has been phenomenal for the last year, and he's been putting on banger after banger of matches. He had a great set of matches with Gunther, and I would really want to see Chad Gable rewarded. So for me, I would say Chad Gable.
I like the answer, Chad Gable. I'm going to go with secret answer number D, someone else. And Pierre, thank you. Jey Uso. That's my pick.
Oh, great shout.
That is my pick. CD here says that Brock did challenge for the IC title in 2003 during his early days. And imagine Gunther as world heavyweight champion and IC champion. It won't happen, though. It's not going to happen currently, no. But it's happened before. Ultimate Warrior back in the day. Got good ideas as well. I want New Day versus Imperium at Mania. Bring back Big E. PS says, I don't think Okada will be in the men's Rumble match. It's 27th January. Contract is 31st. Exactly. So we'll have to wait and see what will happen there with that one. Gunther discussion. I think A walks into me as IC, walks out as world heavyweight champion as well. 2, Gunther versus Brock. 3, the person to beat Gunther for the world title would be Sami Zayn. Fair play. Fair play.
That's a great shout. And we get that when Sammy wins Money in the Bank.
There you go. That's in Toronto as well, if I'm not mistaken, in July. We've already got our predictions for Money in the Bank up on the channel. We didn't waste time on that one. Akira is still one further than ever open weight 6-man tag team champions, and he is leaving. I believe he's actually still going to fulfill those commitments in February. He's doing the February date still for New Japan, which makes me also think he may not come in for the Rumble. But I think he just basically dropped those titles.
Carl Anderson, we said it yesterday. Carl Anderson was never open weight champion when he came back to WWE, and they let him go back to Japan. So don't act like these things never happened before, because this stuff's still possible.
We can iron it out. We've got CD says Seth to vacate the title of WrestleMania. Guess they would have to put Drew against Punk. If that had happened, thankfully, is not going to happen. CM Punk walked out of WWE after Royal 2014, so it'll be a full circle moment, a full decade later as well. It will be amazing to see how it'll go. And Bama agrees, by the way. Punk wins and eliminates Cody last with a distraction from maybe Jimmy or Solo. Roman fears a Cody, and Punk is a coward. He'll pick a wounded Seth. Ew. Oh, that's fighting talk there, Bama.
Punk is a cow. Yeah, damn. I like the idea of Jimmy or Solo costing Cody, though. I think that's a great shout.
Absolutely. Just say very quickly, Bama versus Punk at WrestleMania 40. I'm down for that one. Sign me up. CD says that you guys may have forgotten, but Seth Rollins got injured before WrestleMania 33, but still appeared on the show. But there you go. Still appeared on that show, which is good. Yeah, that was the Triple H feud, if I'm not mistaken. But he did miss WrestleMania 32, which he was injured at that time as well. Of course, that was
there's a habit, unfortunately, of being injured for manias, isn't he?
It was indeed, unfortunately. And again, he says agrees with me there. Cody and Gunther for 1 and 2, Punk for number 30 there. Apparently, TNA knockout Kylie King out for 9 to 12 months with an ACL injury, which is a shame. I think that we almost caught up with a number of comments. We've got a few more still to go through. Iron Man will be Cody Rhodes. We've got here as well. Who will be the number 30? It'll be Little Jim Wee. We need Jimmy versus R-Truth stare down. Why not? Actually, if it was John Cena, we wouldn't see him either.
I can't believe they even made reference to that as well the other week.
No,
I'm sure I was watching something. Just what a mad thing, man.
Absolutely. Michael Cole was screaming commentary because he doesn't want to get fans to get confused, and he was right to do so as well. Kai says, my 1 and 2, Kofi and Ludwig. Rock is number 30. Longest standing is Gunther.
That's actually not a bad shout either.
Not a bad shout. I know CD, but still, we like to play with house money. We were playing with your house money there. Marcel says Dom. I think that's a prediction for the Rumble, but Dirty Dom, there could be the one.
Tom. It's Tom.
It's Tom. There you are. Roger says, is Raw going to be on Netflix in the UK or still be on TNT Sports? From January 2025 in the UK, it'll be on Netflix.
Yeah, so I believe that the TNT contract is up, so that's why it's going to be on Netflix from 2025. So my TNT subscription will be basically useless to me for the rest of the year then. But my wife pays for Netflix, so I suppose that's £10 saved a month.
There you go. You just have to stick to watching Arsenal. Kine says Solo Sikoa eliminated Cody. Perfect base of NXT's idea. We've got here Entrant 30 Goldberg.
I was still waiting for it to show up at TNA, to be honest with you.
I need the sound effect of wah, wah, wah. Work on that one. Cody winning the Rumble 2 years in a row. In my opinion, that stinks as WrestleMania UK. Welcome to my mate. Hope you're doing well. This is, it makes Rumble look too easy. How has he won twice in a row? It couldn't be. It couldn't win a singles match against Roman. To be fair, I mean,
this is why I said
it. It's a good point. It's a very good point.
They're shoving it down your throat that Cody's going to go back to back and win it again, which means he's not going to do it. They build up that full sense of hope, man.
Absolutely. As CD points out, and it's true, Seth Rollins has a main event of WrestleMania, but not an advertised main event of WrestleMania. Perfectly mentioned indeed. Scott Retro Wrestling in-house was after Punk and Cody incredible promo exchange on Raw. How long can you wait before those two feud? After WrestleMania, maybe?
Calendar year, because depending on if Punk wins and Cody wins at Mania, they're not going to put them both on the same show if they're both world champion.
Absolutely not. Shout out to CD. His Rumble predictions are available at the end of this stream, so make sure to go and check them out. C Nation Dog, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Booker Man overrated. This is blasphemy to say such a thing. He's the man who gave us Children Nightmares onto an underrated, one of the most underrated of all time. Unfortunately.
Really? I thought Papa Shango was more of a, even the Repo Man, I think, was more scary than the Boogeyman.
Papa Shango, that was in our childhood, though. I think that's the difference. We're probably a
True,
generation different.
Yeah.
Boogeyman gave me nightmares, but it's just for different reasons. We'll go for another 5 minutes, and then we will wrap things up. At Temple, I was just going to say we've talked about Jerry Morash. We're cool with it. We're down with it. We've mentioned it 4 times. The Miz can't beat Gunther because Gunther beat him in the match, and if the Miz lost, well, he can't challenge Gunther anymore as long as he is champion. So there we go. Roger asking if I'm happy about Calvin Phillips. Well, if the deal happens, if it happens, but if it does, I'll be a very happy bunny. Why is
overrated?
Why is WWE only have 3 back-to-back Royal Rumble winners? Because it's supposed to be difficult.
It is. It's like. You imagine how boring that would be actually to be predicting that. You turn around and go, oh, yeah, well, it's like Roman Reigns winning it's like Roman Reigns being champion for 4 years. Do you know what I mean? It's the same sort of thing. It's like, who's going to win it? Austin's going to win it. Austin's going to win it. Austin's going to win it. It's just not impressive. Like the fact that it's only been done, 3 times in history. I think, what was it? Flair, Michaels, and Austin, the only 2 people to go back to back. I think it makes it even more special. Like Austin's the only person to have won 3 Rumbles, and that record still hasn't been beaten. So that's something that I think that has to be beaten first.
Yeah, I mean that's over, what was it, like 97, 98, and 2001, I believe is when that happened as well. So to answer Marcel's question, he's asked about the Hall of Fame, who will be in it. I'll ask actually for your answers on this one, who you think will be in the Hall of Fame.
Bray Wyatt, I reckon, will be the headliner this year. I mean, Batista still hasn't got in yet, has he?
No, he has not. No. So
yeah, it's either going to be Bray or Batista as the headliner. I think as a nice show of respect, I think Bray should be the headliner though. So you're either going to get one or the other this year. But I'd like to think it's going to be Bray this year. As for some other people to go in. I mean, who at this point isn't in the Hall of Fame? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know The Rock isn't in it, but again, he's another Hall of Famer, so he's not going into at least 2026, I would say, because obviously if he's going to do Roman Rock next year, then yeah, the year after he'll go in. I'm just trying to think now. Like, is Mickie James in the Hall of Fame?
Not presently, no.
I would suggest Mickie James then, and let me think of a tag team just to throw out there as well that aren't in the Hall of Fame. I will say, even though they're not in WWE, Edge and Christian, because Christian needs to go in the Hall of Fame. One day
it will happen, I'm sure. Is the Boogeyman in there yet? I don't believe so. I don't believe he's in the Hall of Fame.
The Warrior Award. No, actually, I have the right person for the Warrior Award, and it is Jim Johnston, because how that guy is not in the Hall of Fame, I think he's criminal. That geezer defined an era of music in professional wrestling, and he's just been like, since he's left, they've not acknowledged him. He's not gone in the Hall of Fame. Nothing.
Absolutely. Vader's a great shout, by the way. I've dropped a link in the chat. That's my Hall of Fame predictions video, which went out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So if anyone wants to, they can go and check that out immediately after this video. We're going to go through the last couple of comments. As I said, different generation. Kind 19 never saw Papa Shango. So for his childhood, it was the Boogeyman. So to be fair, I think that's fair. I think that's proper fair. CD says that Hulk Hogan, Austin, and Shawn Michaels are the 3 with the back-to-back Rumble winners. I think if this should do it, actually, I think it should be a female that should do it next. I don't think it should be Cody. That's just my opinion. Eric Redbeard in the Rumble. If Braun Strowman's in the Rumble, would be a great moment with everyone chanting Bray and Brody. Like that suggestion. It would be an awesome suggestion.
I presume we're going to get the first announcement for the Hall of Fame this weekend as well, because normally they would have done it by now. Yeah, I'm going to say, if it's not, I imagine the Raw afterwards as well. So I would agree with that. Last comment, and then we'll wrap it up then. It's weird how all long title reigns are happening at the same time. It is, but it makes it difficult to beat the champions, and they all seem pretty darn important. So it has its ups, it has its downs, but of course, sometimes you like to see a bit of variety. So yeah, I do see the point of view of that from CD as well. Yeah, it's just one. It's that time period. You know, what I mean, you go through those time periods where, like, for instance, this period existed back when Bruno Sammartino was last champion, and he went 7 years as champion. So we've just got round to that point again. Like, I'm sure at some point in the next 10, 20 years, the world title will be hot potatoed, and it will change every month for about 2 years.
probably should indeed there. Vader, we mentioned great shout. Luke will be a great shout as well. And Zane, is it time for you to go and watch your favorite channel? Yes, it is. We're going to wrap things up there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much. It's been a blast having you here as always. But yeah, no.
That was throwing me out now.
I had a joke that I shouldn't say on air. But Kine says, give me 8 years of Roman Reigns, by the way. Roman San Martino is what Kine wants. And obviously, that'll be his prediction there, definitely to win. If you've enjoyed this video, ladies and gentlemen, do a massive favor because it really helps the channel out a lot. And make sure the like button of this video, and like I say, it helps the algorithms of YouTube. It's boring, but it's very simple and it helps this video. It also helps if you subscribe. I think many of you already are, but if you're new, you're watching and you're on delay, thank you so much for being here now. Hit the subscribe button. And after the video has gone off air, I'm starting this now as of today, dropping your predictions for the Rumble, anything that we've missed. But also, I'm going to start from this moment onwards. It's like the 24/7 championship. Any video that goes once it's gone on, you can do an open Q&A. Ask me a question about anything wrestling related on any video, and I will answer it. That's going to be starting from now. So if there's lack of Q&As currently on this channel, apologies, but the open 24/7 challenge of Q&A will begin. So you ask a question on any, and it has to be on a video. Yeah, a video that's uploaded. It can be this video. It could be the next video. It could be a video I've done in the past. Drop a question. I will answer it in the best form that I can.
Dude, you're crazy, man. The 24/7 hardcore, intercontinental, slam in the van, rumble in the jungle.
We're still waiting for this. Well, to be fair, you mentioned slam in the van. I think that's where Zane's gone off to at this point anyway. But and just to answer, no, that ain't even PG. But so like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share everything, and subscribe. A big thank you to our chat, by the way. Our chat have kept us busy for the last hour and 40 minutes. And thank you all for your comments. That really helps a lot on these YouTube videos, more than you can ever imagine. And a big thank you, of course, to the main man next to me, NX Steve. NX Steve, honestly, it's a privilege to always be able to do these videos with you. And thank you so much again for being involved. And the Royal Rumble, it's an exciting time. And hey, it's going to be a great time this weekend.
Yeah, man, we're on the road to WrestleMania once again. Starts off right, starts off with the Royal Rumble. And dude, man, like I said, it's always a pleasure to be here. No matter if we do go through about 60 million technical difficulties every single time we do one, but you know, it's always fun. And do you know what I mean? We end up waffling for an hour and a half or so. So yeah, man, just like I look forward to them every time. So I'm looking forward to hopefully doing a review with the Rumble. So you know, let's see where that goes, man.
I mean, that's my question answered already there. Look out for a review, perhaps maybe Sunday night, Sunday night, latest Monday. But turn on notifications, hit that bell below, then you won't miss out a single thing. But that's all from us. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. And if you want to watch another video on the channel, check out this one right now. This is who my Hall of Fame predictions are right now. Go and do so. And if you want, drop a question at the end of it. Do a Q&A. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the Rumble. We'll see you next time. And just to say before I go, the next live stream will be on Thursday. Myself and Greg Cherry will be here with a retro Rumble special. Get involved with your questions for that video.